The last time we saw a March this busy was in March 2006. The Calgary real estate market has no signs of slowing down, and we see price increases all throughout the city. Every property type, every quadrant, in almost every single community. You can look at the detached market, the apartment market, the semi-detached market, and the townhouse market. We are seeing increases all throughout the city, and I'm pretty confident it's going to be like this all throughout the year. So let's go check it out. Hello, my name is Adam Fyfe, your Calgary Realtor. I have been doing this for long enough, and it is very crazy to witness what is going on in this market. In 2022, when the interest rates started to increase, I had a lot of people tell me that was it, that was all, the bubble's going to burst. Now we're going into 2024 with the talks of interest rates decreasing, and we're still seeing massive upward price pressures all throughout the city. So let's go check this out. Now, I just want to shout out Q1 2024 was an absolute wild quarter for me. Thank you very much for all of the people who have actually showcased a little bit of love and actually trust me to give them some advice. So this year I have already done about 4 million in transactions. I have done 10 deals, average of 3.99, 5 listings, 5 buyers in the first month of the year. So every single quarter, I think I'm going to touch on this because it's quite interesting and it's fascinating. And I do want to show some people behind the scenes of what is actually going on in my personal business and why people are trusting me to showcase to them how to go through the transaction. If you have any questions, the Zoom link is in the description. Go ahead, book a call, or you can use the Auto AI home evaluation tool if that's of interest to you as well. So let's get into this. Now, like always, I'm going to read this for people who don't want to read it themselves, want to read it for themselves. Go ahead and pause the video. There's chapters along the bottom. Pause it, read it, skip to the next chapter. March reflects strong sellers market and price increases. City of Calgary, April 1st, 2021. March sales rose to 2,664 units, a 10% year-over-year gain and much higher than long-term trends. While new listings did pick up over last month with 3,172 units, we were still below what we typically see in March and not enough relative to sales to drive any change in supply situation. In March, the sales to new listing ratio rose to 84%, and the months of supply fell below 1 month. So 84% below 1 month, very hot market. We have not seen March conditions this tight since 2006, which is also the last time we reported high levels of interprovincial migration and months of supply below 1 month. Talk about history repeating itself here in Calgary. Moreover, we are entering a third consecutive year of a market favoring the seller, as 2-year spike in migration has driven up demand and contributed to the drop in resale and rental supply. Given supply adjustments take time, it is not a surprise that we are continuing to see upward pressure on home prices. Inventory levels have declined across properties priced below 1 million, with the steepest declines occurring for homes priced under 500,000. I've said it a lot in other videos and I'll say it again, the more affordable product in Calgary is by far the busiest market. So if you are below 500,000, just be prepared to step into a wild market. In March, there were 2,532 units in inventory, 22% lower than last year and half the levels we traditionally see in March. So with that in mind, typically a normal market in Calgary, or what we've seen over the last, let's just say 20 years, we would have 5,000 units left over at the end of the month, which allows more selection for some people. But only having 2,532 units to select from at the end of the month is very, very low, making conditions very tight. In March, the unadjusted total residential benchmark price rose to $597,600, a 2% gain over last month and nearly 11% higher than last year's levels. Prices have increased all over the city. Now, I do want to point out that next month I can almost guarantee that the total residential price point is going to hit $600,000, which is the first time in Calgary's history. So this is the total residential breakdown for Calgary. So all property types, all quadrants in the city. First thing I want to note, this is the first time I've ever seen this, the sales outpaced the inventory for the total residential. Okay, I haven't seen that happen, and personally ever. It's been pretty crazy to witness just how many sales there are in all property types versus the amount of homes coming up on the market, and now the leftover homes at the end of the month. If you look at March of last year, you can see that the inventory, the blue bar, was above 3,000, roughly around 3,200. Now we're just over 2,500. The sales have also increased, looking like they were the same amount of sales as April, July, and August of last year already in March. So I'm pretty confident we're going to see a pretty steep increase going into 2024. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm very confident we're going to see double-digit price growth still going into next year. So we've seen double-digit price growth for the last 2 years straight, and it's most likely going to go into that third year as well. Now, this is the total sales for the entire city. Very interesting. It's year to date, so all sales for the first 3 months. You can see that we've surpassed 2021 and 2023 levels, but we're not even close to 2022 when this market really started to take off. You can see a little bit of a breakdown here with the different colors for different property types, and then the 10-year average. We were actually above the 2014 highs that I've brought up multiple times in the past. I wish we had 2006 stats, then I could really showcase that, because that's now the market that we're really going to be comparing ourselves to. So this is the new listings. So this, we can see we're actually still below the 10-year average. 2022, we saw a massive uptick. 2023, we didn't see that much. 2024, we're starting to go up compared to last year, but we still need more listings. If you are considering a sale and you're actually looking at potentially getting into the market and selling your property, we're probably going to see price increases all throughout 2024, so you could wait and maybe get more for your home. But now is definitely a great time for those who are actually in need or considering selling their property. And if you want a quick evaluation, there's a link in the description. Go ahead and it spits it out instantaneously. So let's kind of look at this here. This is an interesting one. So this is, again, total residential for the entire city. So we've got 2023 year to date, 2024. Obviously, we know that 2024 is busier than 2023. So I'm not really going to compare too much, but I just want to highlight some things here because I think it's quite interesting. So first of all, the sales. So we've seen quite a bit of more sales, over 1,000 more sales compared to last year. Our total sales volume is 3.7 billion. So you can see that we're up 35% compared to last year's levels. Now I should have actually brought this up from 2022. So next month I'll make sure to bring some 2022 stats into here. Maybe I'll flash them over now just for your own sake. So new listings, it is great to see new listings increase by 6%. We're at 8,000. Inventory has dropped dramatically. We're only at 2,300 units for this specific year-to-date stat. You can see the months of supply is 1.09, which is a very tight market for us here in Calgary. You can see the sales to new listing ratio is 80%. The sales to list price is over 100%, meaning that majority of homes are selling over ask price. So again, if you are getting into the market as a buyer, it's very important that you realize that. Days on market is 25, which is a pretty big decrease from last year. The benchmark price, according to this current stat, I need to break this down a little bit better in explaining it, but the benchmark price is 584,000. The median price, or the price kind of right in that middle, is 545, and then the average price is 585. So you can still see that there's a lot of activity in the 500s and the 400s, 300s. I do actually have multiple clients in the higher price points from around 6.5 to all the way to $1 million, and I can tell you right now, it is still very busy. So with that being said, this is the total sales by price range. Now you can see the green bar, 2022, the year to date, we actually surpassed everything that we've seen in the last 2 years. Now the red bar from the 7 to 900, or sorry, the 7 to $1 million is leading the charge, meaning that, like I mentioned, these clients that I'm dealing with on the buyer side of things are noticing a lot of activity from 7 to $1 million. There is a lot of competition in that price range especially, so it's very important that you realize that, again, when you're getting into the market, you have this information front of mind so that you don't lose out on opportunities that you really like and learn the hard way. It's unfortunate. I see it quite a bit. Everything else is fairly neck and neck, I guess you could say, from about 800 to 1,000 sales from year to date. You can see that under $200,000 market has completely dropped off. There are not many condos that are worth 160 to 190 anymore. They've all inched their way up to 200 plus. Now, I just want to bring this up super quick. We're not going to touch on this very long, but this is the 2022 prices compared to 2023. So we can see that 2022 had a very wild, very busy year. So in 2022, the total residential was 518 and the detached was 620. Where if you look now, it's 597 and 739. So some massive, massive increases. The detached market has seen 110,000 increase since 2022, which is pretty crazy to say. So just keep in mind when you see these 2022 stats and we're comparing to that, just make sure that you realize that the pricing was a lot different back then. So here's another overlook, kind of breaking it down into individual property types. This is the year to date, again, to March. You can see that the detached market has seen 2,800 sales, semi-detached 572, row 1,100, apartment 1,900. You can start to see some increasing from year over year, which we really don't need to touch on because we understand that 2024 is a very busy year. You can see the new listings. Thank God we're seeing some increases, 3,500, 700, 1,300, 2,400. The inventories are quite low. There's only 1,000 left over in the detached, 216, 306, 771. And then the months of supply, very, very low. You can see that the slowest market, if you would, is the apartment market at 1.19 months of supply, which is still a very, very intense market. We do have a lot of inventory in downtown Calgary, which is very common in this city. So that is going to obviously be the slowest market. But if you look at the townhouse market, 0.84, like that's a very, very busy market. So again, when you're getting into these things, you want to make sure that you're looking at these numbers and trying to figure out where you can best position yourself. So this is the total months of supply, total months of inventory. We talk about this every month, not going to touch on it much. You can see that we're very, very low. We're going to stay this low for quite some time. I would imagine we're going to have at least a year and a half of 2 years of this before we really start to see any changes. The rezoning in Calgary is probably going to be pushed through, especially with these higher increases, percentage increases that we're seeing in the city. So just know that there is some sort of change coming in the city to try to increase inventory. But the problem with that is that the inventory that's going to be brought on by this rezoning is not going to be felt for another 2 years. By the time that people go through the development process and really start to change some of these communities to be more gentrified and condensed, you're going to see a lot of inventory brought to the market in 2 years. So in 2 years, we could actually see a crazy drop off, right? Who knows what's going to happen if there's a wild increase in inventory. So just keep an eye out for that, and I'll talk about it every month. So this is the map of Calgary. You can see that every single quadrant is slightly different. This is the total residential. East Calgary is still the most affordable quadrant at 436,000. So that will continue to stay the same, but you can also see that they had the biggest increase of about 25% increase from last year, which is a massive increase nonetheless. City Center has the lowest increase of 5.4, but it's still 612. And then you can just kind of look at the other quadrants if you're interested. Now, kind of breaking it down into property types, this is a little bit more detailed in a sense of looking at the year over year, month over month. So the total residential has seen an 11% increase from last year. Okay, it's a $55,000 increase from last year. And if we remember the 2022 stat that we talked about, it was roughly around $55,000 again from last year, right? So you see $55,000 increase, $55,000 increase. Are we going to see another $55,000 increase this time next year? It's hard to say, but we're definitely on a very intense upwards trajectory. You can see that the detached market's 740. We saw an $18,000 increase from last month and a $90,000 increase from last year. Semis are now 658. Pretty much the same, $19,000 increase, but only a $76,000 increase from last year. Townhouses on a wild tear, 20% increase from last year, 70,000 increase. We're almost at 450. You can see that it was an increase of 12,000 from last month. Apartments, 337, up $8,100 and $44,000 from last year. So we're just seeing wild increases all over the city. So this is citywide stats. We need to break it down into quadrants to get a better view of how this can be for your personal situation, but this is still citywide, very, very intense, probably not slowing down anytime soon. Now, this is a written description of each individual property type in Calgary. I'm not going to read these out. Make sure to pause the video. If you are planning on getting into the market as a buyer, as a seller, as an investor, it's very important to ask questions and just have a general understanding of what you're getting into. It has been pretty crazy. I have multiple clients that I feel very bad for. We are going to see a lot of product. We're hoping to try to find that good deal, but the good deals are just not there. Even if you're concentrating on price reductions or you're looking at homes that have come back on the market, because you can kind of track those things in a certain criteria, it is very intense because as soon as it comes back on the market, there's offers on it, there's showings on it. As soon as there's a price reduction, depending on how big the price reduction is, there's a lot of people moving very quickly on those price reductions. So it's very important that you have a game plan in mind on how you're going to actually get through this market and find opportunities. Are you only going to look at properties that have been on the market for 10, 20, 30 days? Are you only going to look at properties that have price reductions or come back on the market? Or are you going to look at new listings as a buyer, and are you going to place favorable offers for the seller? Not necessarily you. Unconditional offers are very real right now. I have personally had a couple on some listings that I had this quarter. They're very hard to compete with. When you have 4 or 5 offers as a listing agent, one of them is unconditional, it's a fairly strong price, it's almost guaranteed to win. right? Because then there's less headache for the seller. As the buyer, that is a very big risk because you don't know if you're going to get approved for financing, especially if you have to get an appraisal on the property and appraise for lower than what the property is actually purchased at. Then you have to come up with a difference, or you're not going to get a property inspection, or maybe you don't get a condo document review. These things are very important to consider as a buyer and an investor. As a seller, it makes your life very easy because you maybe get an unconditional offer as soon as the deposit has been placed. The deal is done. So very important that you realize these things. If you want to talk about a strategy and what I'm finding success in, I'm actively in this market, as you can see from that chart at the beginning there. It's very intense. Everyone is very different in their personalities. So it's very important that you realize what works best for you, and then we can start to cater a plan around what is important for you. So Zoom links in the description. Go ahead and reach out if you have any questions. Now, months of supply. So this is going to just showcase to you a little bit about what's going on in the city. So we're not going to touch on this very much, but you can see on average, everything is below 1 month of supply. The detached market in city center has almost 2 months of supply, but the detached market in city center are all $1 million plus for the most part, right? You can see that there's going to be some very nice homes in city center, which are going to sit on the market a little bit longer. Everything else is hovering around 0.6 to 0.8 months of supply, which is very, very busy. So pause the video and watch for your quadrant if you're watching to see what's going on there. Now, for my homeowners out there that are interested at possibly getting into the market in 2024, go ahead and use this tool. It's an instant home evaluation. It's very interesting. It's me and only me that looks at it. You put in your property address, and then it spits out an instantaneous home evaluation. Now, I'm gonna be completely honest with a lot of people out there. I have not really called a lot of people. I definitely need to get on this a little bit more. So I'll probably at least call, introduce myself, thank you for using the service, and go ahead and reach out and ask questions. This system is not 100% accurate, right? If you've done a recent renovation, or if maybe there's been like a very recent sale that's sold for a lot higher than what is currently it's telling you, there could be some adjustments to be made there. So I'm more than happy to walk you through what I see in your current situation. If you want an exact evaluation on what your property could be worth, maybe you're looking to refinance, maybe you're looking to leverage, whatever, I'm here to help. Let me know. If you're not looking at selling, that's fine. But if you're looking at least gaining some insight, maybe getting some help from someone, I'm more than happy to help you out. Just let me know what you're trying to accomplish. Now, this is interesting. This is the microeconomic breakdown for the entire city. Now, I'm not going to touch on this too much because I will touch on this a lot more in our individual property videos. So just a quick highlight. Over the last 2 months, 60 days, every single quadrant, every single property type has seen increases. Not one has seen a decrease. You can see that places like, as an example, detached homes in West Calgary have seen a $50,000 increase in 60 days. They saw 25,800 and then a 25,000 last month. If you actually look at this month versus last month, you can see a lot of detached homes have seen 20, 30K increases in the last 60 days. You can go down here, you can see that there's a lot of different things that you can really touch on, and I'm not going to because we're going to touch on these in individual property type videos, but all of the months of supply are very, very low. You can see all of the year over year and the month over month percentages are very, very high, and a lot of these price increases are very dramatic. I think what is the lowest increase? The smallest increase that we saw was a $3,900 increase for apartments in Northwest Calgary. And that's still a pretty decent increase, right, for apartments that are only priced at $309,000. So it is very, very important to make sure that you're looking at these numbers, studying these numbers, and know what you're getting into. So what's going to happen with this market here? You can see that we're starting to climb up ever dramatically. You can see in 2022 we saw a very sharp increase. I don't think we're going to see that sharp of an increase, but we are definitely going to hit some new price points that we've never hit before in Calgary. So I've said it a bunch and I'll say it again. If you have any questions, reach out. If you plan on getting in the market, become educated. Even as a seller, right? You can still put your home on for too expensive and not get enough viewings. So it is very important to realize that yes, you can put your home on for a good price and you can sell it fairly fast, but at the same time I've also experienced maybe just putting up just a little bit too high and you're not getting what you thought you were going to get on that market. So become educated. Thank you very much. My name is Fyfe. Please comment below. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.